In this video, I'll show you the one campaign setup Meta actually approves of, why it outperforms everything else, and how you can build it in minutes. I've personally managed and consulted on tens of millions of dollars, pounds in ad spend, and I've tested every campaign structure under the sun. And this one is still undefeated. The truth is, most of the advice that you're hearing on Instagram, TikTok, and even YouTube is playing catch up to this strategy. And they're patching together old systems that used to work and then break every time Meta updates the algorithm. Meta want the same results as you. They want you to make millions of dollars because you're going to keep giving them millions of dollars in ad spend. Everyone thinks that Meta has this ulterior motive that they want to take your money without delivering results, but that's actually the opposite of what they want. They want you to get results, and they are building the algorithm to be bigger, stronger, better, faster at delivering you those results so that you do keep giving them more money. When Advantage Plus first came into play, everybody started to panic. All of the media buyers, agencies, freelancers, all of their strategies were breaking. They were all complaining about it. But this strategy only got better. It was empowered by the enhancements. And that's what they are. When the algorithm changes, it updates, it gets better. And with this strategy, so will your campaigns and so will your results. This campaign strategy is running Facebook ads on God mode, and you'll be managing your entire ad system in just a couple hours a week. By the end of this video, you'll know the exact one campaign structure that scales safely, why Meta loves it, and how to set it up in under 10 minutes. This campaign structure that I call the Thunderdome ad system has lasted 3 years of algorithm changes because it's built for how Meta wants you to actually run your ads. Let's dive in. We're going to start, of course, with a sales campaign. Now, we start with sales when, if you are running a self-liquidating offer and you are running to a purchase, if your funnel has a purchase in it, we're going to optimize for sales. Even if your ad is about a lead magnet, and then on the thank you page is where you set the offer to the low paid thing, still optimize for purchases, because that's going to give you higher quality leads because they have buying intent, because that's what it's optimizing for, right? So if you don't have a purchase in your funnel, then optimize for leads. Works almost exactly the same way, but we're going to go over sales today. So sales campaign, auction, all this good stuff. We're not running to e-commerce. We are running to self-liquidating offers and coaching industry education. So we don't need any catalogs or any of that nonsense. This here is your budget allocation. Now this is changing. And again, this is another change that is just empowering and underlining how important this strategy is. We use and have always used since late 2021, early 2022, campaign budget optimization, because it optimizes a lot better. This strategy is based in structural simplicity and creative diversity. And this is what Meta has been pushing since 2021. This is exactly all of the updates and stuff. This is not the new way, even though gurus are using Andromeda as the excuse. This is not the new way. This is the way that has worked since then and continues to work. And every update since has only made it better. Okay. This here is another attempt by Meta to get people to try to stop using ad set budget optimization. Usually, when people are using ad set budget optimization, it is because they are trying to control things, and what ends up happening is they get in the way because they aren't smarter than algorithms, and no human is. Especially when the algorithm has millions of data points to inform their decisions that we don't have, like who different competitors' funnels that users have visited. So if your prospects are visiting other competitors' funnels, the algorithm knows this because it knows their pixel data, it knows everybody's pixel data, and it takes that into effect. So this is just another attempt from Meta to try to get people to stop fucking it up, basically. So always select campaign budget optimization. Doesn't matter what the daily budget is. We're going to put 500, for example. We can leave all this. All this is good. Going to jump over to the ad set. So let's say website, maximum conversions, hit the pixel, hit purchase, make sure you've got it. Cost per result, we're not doing that because we've got highest volume. Value rules are really interesting. We're not going to go over those here. This is also really interesting. Again, we're not going to go over this. We're just going over the structure. Let's come down. Budget and strategy. Sometimes, and then I'll touch on this after, but sometimes we never launch this, so we never do any of this at the start. But on rare occasions, we will introduce this, but that's when things are already up and running. Ad set spend limits, we can add minimum spends. And this is one of the people that run ABO, one of their concerns is that I've heard it said recently that I don't trust Meta to deliver my ads to the right audience, which is an insane thing to say, considering based on Meta. So if you don't, then you can set minimum spend limits. Leave the date. We always run daily spend and not lifetime. Don't set an end date. Audience. So again, since 2022, we haven't used interests. Actually, that's not true. We have used interests in a when we've been I don't want to say aggressively, but we have been begged to test and use them. And every single time, without fail, they lose against Broad. We have literally in an ad account went head to head with a 8-figure sales team that pushed. Their ad strategy was running different, and it's a very famous, especially if you're in the coaching niche. I guarantee you know who they are. But we went head to head with their strategy because a customer very kindly requested it and they paid X amount to be in this person's program. So we did it as a bit of a test because again we can't ever assume things. One of my sayings is that I'm not looking to be right. I'm just looking for the right answer. So you do always have to be a sponge, be open to new ideas and test new things. We did test it. Their strategy was different groups of interests. So inside of a campaign, they would have one or two ad sets and interest targeting only. They organized them by nonsensical reasons, like let's do people and then let's do places or something that it was wild. Made no sense. And we beat them. We used the exact same ads on with post IDs. If you know what that is, it's just literally using the exact same ad. You're not duplicating a ad from the beginning. You're using a post ID, which means it's the same. It's the same essentially web address. It has all the same social proof. It's the same ad. We beat them by 30% on a split test over about a week, with a pretty high spend. So we just don't use lookalikes and interests. Just stay away. So here in audience, we've got controls. Advertising settings is basically if you run in particular industries, don't even worry about that. And again, they keep hiding things, right? Because they just want you to leave it. A good way to think about this, right, is like lookalike audiences. Your 1% lookalike. Just don't think about it as a 1% lookalike. Think about it as a 99% exclusion. Meta relies on signals and data depth. So if you are using a 1% lookalike, think about it as a 99% exclusion. Set your age. I've got no problems with you setting ages and genders depending on what your niche is. Like if you are, boss babes, you're not going to be targeting men. So set whatever that is appropriately. And of course, when you're running these, make sure that you exclude your audiences, the right ones. So if we are running to a lead magnet, we're going to exclude the leads and the purchases. So if you run a self-liquidating offers where step one's a landing page, then you go to a lead, then you download, you opt in, go to the thank you page, which is a sales page for the paid thing, and you buy that and that kind of thing. You want to make sure that you've got the right exclusions in, so that you're not double paying for people. Some people like to include leads because they've downloaded the lead magnet but they haven't purchased. But what that means is that people have downloaded the lead magnet, they're still seeing ads for the lead magnet that they've downloaded. And if your email sequences aren't converting, then that's where you need to go fix that or run different ads to that audience. And again, they're hiding, which I think this is great. Like, in order to go back, you have to select further limit the reach of your ads. And again, like the algorithm and, paired with Andromeda updates with AI and stuff, it's foolish to try and limit it. Placements, again, I always leave this. I leave this as it is. I do check this when ads are running. I do have a check because, again, you've got to it's never the right thing to assume. So always look at your data. Always look at what's going on. But I always leave this from the outset, and then if it tends to favor certain placements nowadays, it's because of the creative, the format of the creative, rather than its delivery issues. Um, so yeah, so I'll leave that. Then we got the ads. Every ad set that you run inside of a Thunderdome campaign, and the reason I call it Thunderdome is because you'll probably see once you get the grips of it. But it's from I took it from Mad Max, and I found Mad Max, and that just reminded me of that when I first started implementing it. So every ad set that you have is going to include 2 to 3 creatives, 2 pieces of copy, and 2 headlines. We want a maximum ad combination of 12. I first got this strategy, or a version of this strategy, from Charlie the Disruptor. He is mainly, oh, he is heavily, he's only really in the e-commerce space. But Charlie is the absolute, for me, is the only OG that has ever existed. Everybody, it wasn't that long ago that all of the gurus and stuff that kiss his ass now were burying him on Twitter, and I followed him for years. And as soon as I started implementing the first iteration of what is now the Thunderdome strategy, everything changed. That's where I first got this. It then changed over time, just because it was more ecom focused, and I found a little bit more success with some minor tweaks. And again, as things have updated, things have gotten easier and better and empowered this. So um, every ad set that you run is going to be a concept. What that means is that it wants to be an idea slash angle, or um, yeah, like a different angle. So, for example, if you have a hook that is targeting somebody's actual self, or their self identity, what it is right now, so their current state, or what you might call the availability heuristic, which is just a mental shortcut for relating to a scenario. So you want to be talking about their current pain. Let's say that that's one example. You could take that kind of hook and look at an ideal self, so something more aspirational. Those are 2 different concepts as an example. You would run those in 2 different ad sets, but each ad set would have variations of that angle. What we're trying to do is, because optimization is done at the ad set level, we want to prove these angles and give the algorithm as much ammunition for this one angle as we can, because we want to see how well it converts in the ecosystem. And when I say ecosystem, I mean the campaign, because the goal of the campaign, or the goal of your ads, should never be to create one ad that goes nuts and does all of the buying and gets all of the leads. It should be to continually make ads that positively contribute to the ecosystem, because the human brain works in a way that it needs to see multiple touch points. It has to. So what we want to try and do is meet people where they are. Um, and the same person is going to go through these different scenarios. Well, one day they're going to be an actual self. One day they're going to be an ideal self, which is more aspirational based. It can also be an auth self, which is something that, if you've downloaded Hook Heuristics, you'll know about. If you don't know what that is, you can join the free school group and it's in there. But every ad set is going to be its own concept, and we want a maximum of 12 ads as a combination. You're going to make sure you hit flexible. It used to be dynamic creative, but now it's flexible. Multi-advertiser ads, I always keep this off. There's can appear alongside other ads in the same ad unit to help people discover products and services. This is more of an e-commerce kind of thing. So for us in the coaching niche, education niche, online education, we can keep that checked off. Don't need to worry about this ad schedule and stuff. And then this is where you add your creatives, right? So like I said, we're going to add 2 to 3 creatives max per ad set. Now, this used to be that we would add it all to this one ad. The reason for that is because flexible used to be called dynamic creative. I do believe it's still called dynamic creative for lead optimization, but it is rolling out to flexible on all campaign objectives. Now, again, if you selected dynamic creative at the ad set level, you could only have one ad. Since flexible came around, 2 things have happened. You can have multiple ads in this ad set, But also, when you go to Ads Manager, you used to be able to break down by the creatives that were on that one ad so you can see individual performance. That changed about 8 months ago, and you can no longer see that. So now what I do is every creative is its own individual ad. It still has 2 ad copies, 2 headlines, and it's the same number of overall ads created as a combo, but it just means that we can see individual performance. And I'll show you an example here. So inside this ad, this is how I create them just for ease. This is how it used to look. I just drafted up these silly images on with the nano banana. This is just me on a ranch in Montana, and this is me in a snowy mountain with the laptop. So what we want to do, what we've got here is ad copy 1, ad copy 2, headline 1, headline, well, sorry, it's headline 2. And then what I do is I duplicate. Yes, used to be quick duplicate. And then I just go in and I make sure that we've got the opposite. So that one's Snowy Mountain. So this one needs to be Montana Ranch. Okay, so let's say that this concept is me showing that I can work from anywhere and I've got work freedom, whatever it is. This is how I would run it. Maybe we'd add a third one in here. But what I want to get at here is when we talk about the primary text, which is the ad copies and the headlines. The ad copies are much more important. They have a lot more weight when it comes to the ads themselves. Ad copy for me is the most, and I'll die on this hill, is the most important skill in marketing because everything stems outwards from ad copy. You can't have a good video script without ad copy, without copy. Everything stems outwards from that. So it's important that you make sure that you're testing. Now, the variables at which you test, how you test these ad copies, I would make sure that you are just testing. When you test your ad copies, make sure that you are testing in a way that is going to give you whatever your hypothesis is or the thing that you are testing. Make sure you are testing in a way that you will get a clear answer. Okay, we can dive into that in other videos. Headlines have less weight because we don't see these on Instagram placements or most Instagram placements like the feed and stuff like that. So these don't appear. Sometimes what I'll say to people is if you have a Facebook placement ad that and the headline is heavily winning, one thing you can do is take your best performing image, drop the best performing headline over it and run it as an ad as well because a lot of placements don't see these headlines. Description, I tend to just leave that because you can't really see it. Destination, obviously this is all the same, make sure you put that in. Advantage plus creative options. Now, I know I've talked about how Advantage Plus is really good. As it stands right now, this isn't great. The only reason for that is because it will do stuff to your ad that it won't tell you about. It will change and the delivery of your ad in a way that is unscalable. So for the most part right now, we leave this off. Call to action is always learn more. Consistently over the years has outperformed everything else. Browser add-ons, I don't use those either. Tracking is all make sure that your tracking is in place, make sure that you put in the right URL parameters. But again, that is minutia and basics. This is the structure though. So once you've got something, let's say I'm going to duplicate this ad set here. So this is my mountain. This is my, what would you call it? Location, working, isolation. I don't know. I'm just making these products up. And then maybe this one is the opposite, busy office location. Okay, so whatever your concepts are, you need to separate them. And also, I know I've used these as examples, but try not to lean heavily into visual only. Concepts should be vastly different as much as you can. It's much more preferential that you take bigger swings. I don't think we want to be testing small things like slightly different colors of the same image or slightly different wording and different and completely different ad sets. We want to take bigger swings. The things that I like to separate by are completely different concepts, but also different psychological triggers, different self identities. Again, we're going to be ramping up the school community with lessons on these psychology based marketing. So definitely jump in the description and have a look for the link and join. It's free as it stands right now. So jump on in. This is the setup that has been winning for years and continues to win. The highest that we have seen this run at is 90,000 $1,000 a day from one campaign, and it works. Every single algorithm update only empowers this strategy more. So you need to stop. If you are following people that are telling you to have testing campaigns and scaling campaigns, so on that point, the reason that this is better than that is because that is just a overall bad investment. You could go and find an investment banker or financial planner and tell them about, okay, I've got two environments that I'm going to invest capital into. One of them I plan to never scale. And then once I find a winner, I'm going to put it in a brand new environment against stronger components, and they'll just laugh you out of the room. It doesn't make any sense. If you are going to test something, test it against your winners. But again, you don't really want to test against, you want to test with, because people need different touch points. What you will end up seeing here is image ads will do a lot of, will get a higher frequency because they'll go after a certain group of people that's the algorithm dictates needs to see this. And your overall campaign budget or CPA from the campaign will be better. With CBO, the algorithm behaves more like the campaign becomes like a hedge fund. It looks at the probability distribution of outcomes across all ad sets, redistributes the budget to essentially reduce volatility. So it becomes an environment that is honing together to optimize for the best CPA. With ad set budget optimization, things test in isolation, and actually they don't test in isolation because they still see all of the other ad sets. So what ends up happening is you'll run ABO and something will start to do well, so you'll increase the budget on that one ad set, but actually it's doing well because it has an overlap with 3 or 4 different ad sets in there. And if you scale the reach of that one, then it doesn't scale the reach of the others, so it doesn't work because the success doesn't happen in isolation. So it doesn't work like that because the human brain doesn't work like that. So that's another way. I'm going to do a short series on my Instagram and TikTok about all of the reasons why ABO is less effective than CBO, because I really want to get this home. There is so much noise in the market, and all of it is based on or built around the gurus that are just trying to hide. Sometimes, not all of them, but I'm not trying to razz on anyone here, but a lot of times they're trying to they build structures that just sound over complex, but actually are just buying themselves more time to get better results. Your goal should be to weaponize the algorithm, not hinder it. We want to cross-pollinate learning between ad sets and optimize campaigns a bit more like an investment portfolio manager. We want to weigh risk, opportunity cost, and shared intelligence across the entire system as a whole. And that's exactly what the Thunderdome ad system. The Thunderdome ad system is how Meta wants you to run your ads. And as an idea of how well this can scale, the highest that we've managed to get this to is $90,000 per day in ad spend with one campaign. That's what the Thunderdome ad system gives you. Predictable, profitable growth without complexity. If you're a coach, creator, expert, mentor with a high ticket program, and you want to learn more about ads, offers, and how to know your numbers for predictable, profitable growth, I've put a link to our free school community in the description. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you inside the school.